12th at 6 o'clock. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by Vero Beach High School's Air Force Junior ROTC Detachment 043 under the direction of Wade E. Dews, Chief Master Sergeant, retired, Aerospace USAF, and Dean Rascal, retired Major USAF. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. I trust you had a healthy and happy new year, and wish for everybody to have this year, 2021, be an improvement from last year. First order of business is adoption of the orders of the day. Are there any items board members wish to move from consent to action? I have one, board speaking time, and I'd love a motion to move it.
So move.
Dr. Schiff, a second. Dr. Jones. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like to add an item to our action agenda,
okay.
which is to resume email public comment for future board meetings.
All right. Do you know what item number that is in the consent?
It's not from consent, it's an additional action item,
Oh.
unless we're not up to that yet.
We do have,
Mr. Barefoot,
yes.
I'm sorry, sir, that was added to the agenda just perhaps within the last 30 minutes as a consent item.
As a consent item.
Yes.
In
Yes.
which case, got it.
Was it added prior to receiving the paper copy, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay.
Got it, I'm sorry, I
That's
was looking
action?
under action and I didn't see it. So it was under consent, so do we want to, so I'm going to move that we move that to action, just for the purposes of this.
So you don't want to have it approved as part of consent. You want it
I
separately?
just want to make sure that we have any remaining discussion that we need to be clear what the policy is under action.
All right. You move that, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Chairman, I have another item
Yes.
for discussion, board agenda items.
You're going to make me go find which item that is in the board agenda?
No, it's not an item, it's an addition.
Oh, it's addition, all right. You're making that motion?
I am.
Is there a second?
I didn't hear what she added.
I added a discussion item for board agenda items, to discuss board agenda items.
I'll second for purposes of discussion. I'll second.
I don't think we have to vote on those, just by the way. I
Okay.
think a board member has a right to bring up something.
Discussion.
Yeah, we don't have to vote on
We're
those.
just going to add it to the agenda.
Robert's rules does not require us to vote on that, yes.
Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Ms. Roberts. I have a great coach here. All right, at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and before I begin with our presentations, I do want to say how joyful it is to have the JROTC back in our auditorium to open our meetings. It's been 9 months since they were last here, so very happy that they were able to open our meeting. With that, we do have a number of presentations tonight, Stars of the Year video, and then our Shining Award. We're going to highlight our administrative team and student services teams from our 2 high schools as it relates to our district graduation rate. And then we're going to do a special recognition where we have the opportunity as a district, as a leadership team, teachers and staff, to show some appreciation for our board. This is Board Member Appreciation Month, and we thought we would take advantage of this opportunity to show our appreciation for your continued support and hard work for all of the children and every single person that you represent, all of your constituents. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Maddox.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Before break, we went out and collected all of our Teacher and Employee of the Year finalists from each of their schools, actually the day before break, and we loaded them up on our Polar Express-themed Prize Patrol, Star Patrol bus this year, and surprised them at each of their schools and took them out for a special luncheon. And during that time, we captured all of this on a video that we are doing our best to get on this screen right now. Dr. White's not there. But anyways, let me tell you a little bit about the gala while I have some time. So the gala is going to be at Vero Beach High School outside in the Citrus Bowl this year, and it's going to be on the 25th at 6 p.m. The gates open at 5:30, and we invite everyone to come and join us there to celebrate all of our teachers and employees of the year for that special day. I think you're going to enjoy it outside. It's going to be like a big rock concert, lots of fun, per Dr. Moore. So, are we ready to go with the video? All right, I got the thumbs up. Hi, my name is Kristen Maddox. I'm the Public Information Officer here in the School District of Indian River County, and today is one of our favorite days of the year. It is the Star Patrol Tour Day, and we're about to embark on a journey on the Polar Express to pick up our 5 Teacher and 5 Employee of the Year finalists. I'll give you a hint. The first stop is not very far.
Saying you are a finalist for Employee of the Year. Mrs. Harris! What I have here is a presentation for Ms. Harris as one of the district's 5 finalists for Teacher of the Year. You represent our district as one of the 5 finalists as Teacher of the Year. So Miss Hartman, congratulations. So he is a support personnel of the year, but now a teacher. Give him a big round of applause. our board members here, other teachers, and support staff of the year, a bunch of your students here to acknowledge you as one of the 5 finalists for the entire county as a Teacher of the Year finalist. So we're very Hello! Boys and girls, Miss Carroll was selected from all the schools in the county to be one of 5 Teacher of the Year finalists. So give her.
Deb Henry, guess what? I love the makeup, I love the hair for your graduation, but even better, you're the Employee of the Year finalist!
Hello, congratulations. We'll miss you at lunch. You are one of 5 finalists for Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. Ms. Williams, you are one of 5 finalists for Employee of the Year. Very interesting fact, you don't work at Vero Beach Senior High School on Thursdays.
No, I didn't. I forgot.
We know that because we took the entire bus to find you at Vero Beach Senior High School to acknowledge you as one of 5 finalists for Support Personnel of the Year from Vero Beach Senior High School.
One of the best things about that day is that with it being the last day before break, we had a couple teachers in pajamas because it was pajama day, movie day. They were watching, the Polar Express or something in their school while they were diving into curriculum. And they wore their pajamas and got on the bus, and it was pretty funny. So that's why they were dressed like that, just so you know. It's not an everyday thing. So Dr. Moore, I think you are going to start the next presentation.
Absolutely. So we'll bring up the PowerPoint. As you know, or many of you know, last week the Florida Department of Education released graduation rates for the previous school year. And when they released those rates, there was a lot of questions and concerns regarding that graduating class. And as many of you know, that was a graduating class on March 13th that was told, we don't know when you're going to return for the remainder of your senior year, and come to find out they never had the opportunity to return. We continued to work and provide meaningful opportunities for them in a very, very, very challenging time. And we're here to celebrate their work and the work of individuals who have supported them. So as the graduations rates were released, you can see here the graduation rate for the school district of Indian River County now sits at 93.4. That is the #1 graduation graduation rate on the Treasure Coast. We are number 7 of 67 districts in the state of Florida when you rank those particular districts. We improved 4.9 percentage points, so we're very excited about this improvement. This looks at us in comparison to surrounding counties and counties of similar size. And as you look at the top, one of the things that you're going to notice is when you look at surrounding districts, we once again stand at the top at 93.4, not just where we ended, but as well as our growth. And those are two particular things that we should be very proud of. When you look at that particular growth, we moved from 20th to 7th, so that's a significant improvement, and that's the improvement we want to continue to see across the state. And we saw improvement in all areas across all subgroups. So when you look at our black subgroup as a point of reference, last year that graduation rate was 80.6. You compare that to the state, which was 81.5. So there's about 0.9 variance between us and the state last year in black graduation rate. And then now, graduations that just came back, we improved 10.2 percentage points, and we're sitting at 90%. That's a mark we should be extremely proud of, and that's actually 3.4 percentage points higher than the state. So we went from a 0.9 deficit in comparison to the state to a 3.4 improvement over the state. Now, we talk a lot about that gap, and there's numerous gaps and numerous ways to talk through the gap. The gap between the graduation rate in comparison to white students to black students was also significant. When you look at Indian River County, and this is not on your chart, this is my speaking points, last year that gap was 11.1. The variance between white graduates and African American graduates. That variance today is now at 5.1. That's a significant closing of the gap. Now, when you look at the state, previous years, as I said, ours was 11.1, the state was 10.2. We were in line with the state, and the gap is now the same as the state. So we're closing the gap at a faster rate in comparison to the state. So we're excited about those numbers. Now, when you look at this is kind of breaking it down between our two high schools that we're responsible for. Sebastian River High School made some significant gains, improving it by nearly 10 percentage points to 91.4, and we're very proud of that work. And Vero Beach continued to prove upon an already very good 93.0, and it's very hard to move a number that's at 93%. They figured out a way to do it, 95.6%. So that is very, very, very good work. And then you see the variances within the subgroups. Once again, in all subgroups, you're seeing significant improvement. So although the entire state was pressed against the pandemic, and we all experienced the same exact scenario and the same exact application of rules across the state being applied, this is the outcome the School District of Indian River produced, and it is, all things being the same, a significantly improved upon result, and we're looking forward to continuing to celebrate that result. We do have here, and I'd like to quickly ask each principal to come to the podium. Sean O'Keefe is here from Vero Beach Senior High School. Mr. Van Brimmer is here representing Principal Cummings. Principal Cummings is right where he needs to be tonight. His daughter is celebrating her senior night on the basketball team. That's where we need him to be. And I also want to ask Dariel Brown if he would come to the stage. Dariel was the principal at Vero Beach Senior High School last year. He was the principal that shook the hands of each of these graduates who produced this number. So we need to acknowledge all the hard work that he's done as well. Dariel, absolutely outstanding work, and I'm glad that you're here. And I asked for the principals just a quick update. How did you do it? And then let us know your student services teams that are here, those who provide that additional support and guidance to ensure that our students are on track to graduate.
Hello, everybody, board members, Dr. Moore, cabinet. Representing Vero Beach High School as principal, I am Vero proud of the results that we achieved with our seniors last year. As Dr. Moore said, it was a very difficult situation. We lost all of our students on that given day on Friday the 13th. And we had teams of people that just were so dedicated to keeping track of those kids, starting brand new curriculums on the fly at home, and making sure that we made contact with those kids almost on a daily basis to make sure that they were staying with us. Our seniors were at such a vulnerable spot in their high school careers. And as Dr. Moore said in the press conference, this is indicative of an entire school district effort. This starts 13 years of school is a long time, and this is about all the people that brought our students along throughout those 13 years. I think of it as a kind of like it's a marathon. It really is for our students. And it's also a relay race. You can imagine that baton being passed on from elementary school to middle school and then to high school, and we get the privilege of carrying those kids, not carrying those kids, they're carrying themselves, but helping them along as they carry the weight of all the burdens that they have in the last third of that race and making that happen. And with us here tonight, we've got some of the folks that were deeply involved in that work. Our graduation coach, Mr. Chris Rahal, is here. Our scheduling technician, Ms. Karen Watson. School counselor, Holly O's. And our school guidance director, Jessica Wood. Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to say thank you for having me here tonight. Obviously, Sebastian did a remarkable job just coming together as a team. In the tumultuous year that we had, which is very difficult for our students, not only our students, but our teachers as well, also parents, really trying to make sure that all of our students were on track, keeping track of those students during the time that we didn't have the opportunity to actually see them physically. So just as Mr. O'Keefe stated, just making sure that we kept in contact with our students, whether it was phone, by email, some even by text messages if we had to. But the thing is, the commitment was really to those kids, and to see those students really drive and be motivated, even though they didn't have the senior year that they actually wanted, they still had that opportunity to walk across that stage, and it was quite an honor. So thank you, board, for your support, Dr. Moore, for yours as well. And as we'll continue, Shark Nation will continue to prevail and continue to do well in the future. Thank you so much.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to stand in for Mr. Cummings, who is currently attending his daughter's senior night in the Shark Tank for girls basketball. So he sends his regards. We would be remiss if we did not recognize our head of our guidance department, Mr. Enrique Valencia, and his team. They really worked hard having very tough conversations with seniors who were, at risk in the last year, counseling them in the many different options so that they could pursue and achieve a high school diploma rather than going another route that would set them up for less success in life. In addition to Mr. Valencia, we'd like to recognize our other guidance counselors. Those include Lim Phillips, Kim O'Keefe, Wendy Palmer, and Madison Kama, as well as our graduation coach from last year, Ms. Carolyn Reddish. So thank you very much. Shark Pride.
So we thought it would be appropriate to name Sebastian River High School and Vero Beach High School our Shining Star Schools for this month. And we would like to present this award to the entire school, to all of the students, teachers, staff members, guidance counselors, graduation coaches, everyone who has ever made a difference in the children's lives, bringing them up in our school district or whatever school district they came from. So first, this is for Sebastian River High School, our Shining Star School Award. Sebastian River High School, would you like to come up and accept this award?
He's like, okay.
And we will do a photo. We'll do a photo in just a moment. All right, thank you. And our next Shining Star School Award is Vero Beach High School. So Mr. O'Keefe and staff, would you like to accept this award? Thank you very much. And if we could have everyone move to behind the dais underneath the school district logo, and we'll get positioned for a picture real quick.
And to set up our last presentation, it has been, as we've really documented very effectively over the course of the last several months, a very hard and challenging time. And we continue to acknowledge and celebrate the hard work and the above and beyond effort that our teachers and administrators and support staff take on a daily basis. But this is School Board Appreciation Month, and we want to take the time to acknowledge the hard work each and every single one of you have continued to do in this very, very difficult time. And of course, this is School Board Appreciation Month, but I certainly include Ms. Zork and Ms. Justice in this acknowledgement, because this board has led through some very, very challenging time. Boards across the United States have led in some very, very challenging times. So this is, a practice I've seen in other districts, and I thought it would be nice if we have our principal of the year and our assistant principal of the year, although I call her principal in waiting, principal of the year, Ms. Garcia, and assistant principal of the year, Ms. Hepburn, to come and read a proclamation to be considered to acknowledge the efforts and hard work of our school board.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here. This proclamation is designated January 2021 as School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the mission of the public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all the children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and ever-changing world.
And whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child.
And whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision that we want for all of our students. And
whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system.
And whereas the local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and to the public's expectations of our district.
Now, therefore, be it resolved, on behalf of the students and staff members of the School District of Indian River County, we do hereby declare our appreciation to the school board members of Indian River County and proclaim on the month of January 2021 as School Board Recognition Month in Indian River County, and urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an educational system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children.
We hope that this will be adopted by the School District of Indian River County, Florida, on this 12th day of January 2021, and I'm sure that it has already been signed on behalf of the District School Board of Indian River County, Florida, by Dr. David K. Moore.
Thank you. And before I hopefully have a nomination or a motion to accept, I don't know that the community understands the volume of hours each and every single one of you work, whether it is working with your constituents or problem solving with me or informing me what you're hearing from your constituents and pushing the needle. And I can say that in all sincerity, each and every single one of you have a high expectation for what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it is a joy, a heart-filled thank you that I give to each and every single one for your individual support to me, but as well as the unwavering expectation that you have for children. So thank you for all that you do, all the support that you give, and all the push that you have to ensure this district is world-class. Thank you so much.
So at this point, it's a little embarrassing to call for a motion for ourselves collectively, and Mrs. Zork and Mrs. Justice, but can I have a motion to accept the proclamation? Don't be shy.
I'll make a motion.
All right. A second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Garcia, are you going to run the room as you did?
I think in football, they tackle those people when they run out, right?
All right, Miss Hepburn, you're up. No, I'm
Awesome. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Dr. Moore, if you would come up to help me distribute these to our board members. And again, just, each board meeting, we're recognizing someone, one of our staff members or students, and you all are suggesting someone to recognize. So when Dr. Moore came to me at the beginning of this year to plan out this year's calendar, we're more than happy to put this on the month of January to finally recognize all of you. So you are going to be the center of our photo tonight. So when you get your plaque, if you would please stand and right in front of the dais, and we'll take your picture.
Aw, thank you.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
About Zorkin.
I guess Ms. Esplin is going to have somebody help us in the, putting those up on the walls. We're not allowed to do it.
Very sweet.
Sorry.
Can't forget the mask.
Mr. Barefoot, that concludes our presentations for this evening.
Sweet.
Can I say one quick thing? This is an embarrassing moment, I have to say. It feels awkward and it feels embarrassing, but it also feels really humbling. And none of us get into this job because we expect to be thanked for it. I don't think we quite anticipate how really thankless it is. But thank you for that. I'm a little verklempt. I don't really know what to say, except it really is humbling to be acknowledged for the work that I know each and every one of you does. I know how hard you all work. I know how hard we all work, and I know that there were a lot of things we didn't know getting into this. And we don't do it for ourselves. We don't do it because it's a lot of fun. And I really appreciate your kind words. And I'm embarrassed by them, but I appreciate them and just want to acknowledge that.
Mrs. Berenborg.
Yeah, thank you also. But I'd also like to say thank you for asking principals to put those on the signs. Because it was really weird to drive by a school and see that, but it was nice. So I appreciate that. Also, I want to make a comment about the other recognition. First of all, congratulations to both high schools. It does take the entire community of our school district to do that. And somebody that hasn't been mentioned that I think should be is Dr. Moxley, because she was here to help us with this transition to move forward. So I'd just like to publicly thank her as well.
Absolutely.
And I also think you mentioned Mrs. Zork and Mrs. Justice, but they were here for 4 years. And they went through, you were the third superintendent that they had to deal with. But in addition to Dr. Schiff and Mrs. Rosario and Mrs. Berenborg, I think not enough credit can go to
Absolutely.
Mrs. Zork and Mrs. Justice, because I speak for myself. Dr. Jones has been in the district for many, many years, so she's got all the history, but it's impressive to see the results of all the hard work, particularly over the last year or two. So my congratulations to all of you for the job you've done. So moving on, we now move to in the agenda, the citizen input portion. There are certain guidelines, which if you will bear with me, I'll read. Each statement made by a member of the public shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. Persons will be recognized in the order in which the requests were received. Persons may speak for up to 3 minutes at the beginning of a business meeting during citizen input, as indicated on the order of business, and for up to 3 minutes to each action item during the action agenda, and each board member discussion item as indicated on the order of business. Persons may only speak once about any given item. The time period may be extended by the presiding officer, and only the individual submitting a speaker's form is allowed to address the board. Time may not be yielded to other speakers. So the first speaker this evening is Chris Allen.
Hi, my name is Chris Allen. Facing too high. I just came here to just continue to saying that I don't agree with the policy that you have in regards to masking. It does not represent my belief. I don't believe the masks are doing anything except restricting oxygen to the children having to wear it. And, you know, having that type of policy at the schools has pretty much forced us to do online learning for our child, and even that could use some help too, because it's not really, I don't think it's that well organized. I mean, the teacher's awesome, but the courses itself, it's not good. And also, one of the reasons that we are doing that is not just because of masking, but also because of the quarantining that's being done for schools. There's multiple students that are quarantined more than once, and that messes with their schoolwork. I hear that a lot of them have trouble even communicating with teachers or getting their schoolwork. Some of them are failing because it's a class that you actually have to show up, and that's something that I don't think any of you have addressed or, by the looks of it, have even wanted to fix in the first place. And to my understanding, I don't think there's been any discussion about having an updated plan on optional masking, which, if I recall correctly, you guys said would be done by December 8th, and it's January, and you've done nothing on it. And I do recall also last year when you mentioned potentially having a committee. You know, I think that's kind of like a CYA move, but if you guys want to do it, but I would caution using against the health department because it's run by Miranda Hawker. And I sent you guys an email about her in November, I think, proving that she's a liar, she manipulates data, and, you know, whether masks work or not, she wants you to wear it. So she has a very biased opinion on that. And I know you guys have mentioned talking to Cleveland Clinic also. Do want to mention there is something, they do push masking a lot, and they do have potential patents on it, inventions, like they're trying to develop a breath test, so talking to them is kind of like, well, they have an investment on it, so of course they're going to continue with it. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, Omar Norton-Giacomo.
Noted, Giacomo.
Thank you, Mrs. Berenborg, for the correction. I have stats here from the Florida Department of Health, but I think I have more questions than I have a statement. And that is, how many of you members of the school board have researched the stats on COVID deaths for children in our state? Can anybody answer the question, how many children have died from COVID in Florida?
I have researched, I can't give you the numbers though, but I have researched it in the past.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Another question is, what do you do with the information we give you? I mean, I notice out there you have a parking spot for Employee of the Year, and I'm thinking that maybe I should have it because I feel like I'm doing your homework for you. Nobody seems to care about the stats. All you talk about is how many cases we have. From the Florida Department of Health also, there have been 5 deaths under the age of 14 from COVID in Florida. And that's, anybody can look it up, but apparently it doesn't matter. We're still going to wear masks because Can anybody give me a reason why our children are masked? Anybody?
May I-
That's
may I-
dangerous. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we can't speak because there is legal, a binding legal action, just so you know.
That, I've heard that for the past 10 years, every time I testify before the school board, with valid data, by the way. The data doesn't seem to matter. I don't know if you guys, what you do with this, because we never get responses from any of you. I guess your attorneys have you hogtied or something. Nobody can respond without the attorneys giving you permission. I'm not sure why. But the latest stat on deaths, Florida deaths, on January 11th, 7. Up here, if you could see this graph, now if I had a screen to put it up on, it would be pretty simple. As of 12/12, there were 88 deaths. As of January 11th, there were 7. And we're still masked 9 months later. Why? I'll wait. And can anybody tell me why our children are still masked? I'll wait. I've still got 51 seconds. I'll wait. Can somebody tell me why our children are going to school every day with masks on? Still got 40 seconds. I'll wait. I think we're setting a very dangerous precedent when we're mandating something that we have no valid reason to mandate. It can't be called anything but tyranny, and it's become so normalized among our students, it's really scary. And I wish that more parents, the ones that are listening to the school board meeting, I wish that you would stand up to tyranny and just say, no, we will not comply. There's no scientific basis for this, none whatsoever. And the fact that we don't get answers, that's tyranny too. Thank you.
Next speaker, Richard Allen.
Hello, I'm Richard Allen, and the last we met in November, or the last time we spoke of the plan was in November. In November, Dr. Moore, you said that you were going to try to come up with a new plan of attack by December 8th. Where is that? Have we done anything on it? Because you did talk about establishing a committee and who would be involved in that committee. And we, at that time, we said we would like to have some sort of parent representation on that committee, along with medical experts, which you had mentioned. So please, let's readdress that and revisit that topic of coming up with a plan going forward. Also, at the time, we asked what has to happen to get rid of the mask mandate. And somebody here had mentioned, well, vaccines. We're waiting for vaccines. And, well, vaccines are out. They're being distributed. So can we revisit the topic of masking and look to maybe establish a date of, okay, by this date, we can plan to get rid of masking mandates, leave masks optional. I have no problem with people wearing masks who want to wear masks, but let's get rid of the mandate. Let's make it optional. Let's actually follow the CDC guideline, which is merely a recommendation to wear a mask, not a mandate. CDC does not mandate masks. They recommend, and they leave it to the people to decide. Please do the same. Leave it to the people to decide. Leave it to parents to decide for their children what's best. Thank you.
Next speaker, Jennifer Pippin.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Pippin. I'm the chairman for the Moms for Liberty Indian River County and the admin for We the People Indian River. And most importantly, I'm a mother of 2 children in this school district. My daughter turns 15 next week. My son is 12. We are being ignored. We've called, emailed, showed up to all the meetings, and unfortunately had to take legal action to restore our parental rights in our schools. Many of us have taken our children out of public schools. Many of us are still waiting until the court date at the end of this month. You're losing the trust of the community. On November 5th, Dr. Moore, you spoke to 32963, and you said, I quote, "A plan for phasing out mandatory mask policy is being formulated with the help of local pediatricians and medical experts," Moore said. "A draft will be presented to the school board for discussion on November 17th, and the final plan will be up for a vote in December." That was never done. November 17th, the school board meeting, we had people come and show up and talk. And at timestamp, if you look on YouTube, at 2:31, Mrs. Berenborg brought it up, and it said it would be discussed at the next meeting. December 8th, same thing. Parents stood up in front of you and wanted this discussed, as you said it was going to be done. Now we're almost a year into this virus, 6 months into school reopening, and we feel we did the right thing with taking legal action, because still today, your plan to make a plan has failed. I spoke to the attorney. He said, you guys today could make the change. You could have in November. You could have in December. You're choosing not to put parental rights and the medical attention of our children first. And also, I got a couple of emails back from parents that were concerned. We are not getting a penny from this lawsuit. The parents who sued the school board are not getting a penny. It's actually costing us more money as taxpayers and having to pay for the lawyer on top of it. So we are not gaining a penny from this. This is to restore parental rights for our children, not a financial increase to us at all. If anything, and this continues, it's going to cost us more money out of pocket. We don't see a penny of it. Our next step, as we warned you before with the legal action, which we don't want to do, could possibly be a recall and replace people sitting up there that don't put parental rights first for our children. It's a promise and a threat, just like we did with legal action. We don't want to do it, but unfortunately, we may have to for our children. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, Susan Aguirre.
Thank you, School Board. My name is Susan Aguirre. Thank you for having me. Last time I was here was in 2005. I was a graduate of Sebastian River High School, here for Dr. Jones. I'm here as a parent of 4. Dr. Moore, you had the privilege of graduating a foster child of mine from New York City, a child who had no voice. I'm very sentimental. I sent her to college on Saturday. She has a voice. Dr. Brown, he helped me. Mr. Sturgeon, he helped. But I'm watching my 3 other babies, voiceless, at the mercy of politicians, of policies, of false words upheld by so many people. And I'm very disappointed. We are a nation rooted in revolutionary and oratory men and women, like the rhetoric from Sam Adams, Patrick Henry, and so many more of our forefathers here. Without work, without hands and feet and blood and bones, we are nothing without your words. Your words are everything to our children. My daughter suffers tremendously from exacerbating pain wearing a mask. She currently attends the Sebastian Charter Junior High School. And I said, baby, how does it feel to wear a mask? She's like, Mommy, I can't breathe, but we get mask breaks. That is so un-American to me. That is China. That is not here. America. So many people in this room gave me a voice. I'm a New York City student, grew up in the hood, in the projects, and so many of our leaders in this community gave me a voice when I thought I didn't have one. My mother is an immigrant. who had no voice. And because of her, I am able to stand up and have one. And now I'm encouraging all parents to do the same. I'm not here to tell you anything negative because I know that your job is tough and sometimes you wake up and you're afraid, as are we. But in the last 45 seconds, America is inseparably attached to certain ideas and sentiments, values with which Americans generally identify. School board, I ask you to consider the liberties, thrift, self-determination, public virtue, courage, and hard work, and the resilience in God that it takes to do what we do as parents. Your vote came because our children are depending on you to listen to us as well. We voted for you. We gave you our trust. Please consider this. Consider revisiting what you spoke about, Dr. Moore. My child cannot breathe. She cannot breathe at school. My other child is at the elementary school at Charter. They don't wear a mask, and she's happy. Please bring the happiness to their smiles. I beg you. Thank you.
The last speaker, Larissa Packalin.
Good evening. My name is Larissa Packalin, and I have a child in Indian River School District. I want to start with, it's very nice to hear that you are giving appreciation to yourself. But let's look back for the past few months. How many parents came here and spoke for their children, how they were suffering these mask mandates that you are giving in psychological and physical. And how many parents sent emails to you and you never respond? How many questions were asked without response still? The parental lawsuit is going on to be on end of this month. And this lawsuit is not about mask. It's not about mask. Mask is not a mask. It's about parental rights. Are we still having parental rights or not? This lawsuit about parental rights. Mask is just a small thing. But the big picture are parental rights that you all don't care about. There is no our children, because so many people were coming here, employees of school or some other parents who has different opinion. They were saying, our children. There is no our children. There is my child, belong to me and to my husband. There is her child, her child, her child. They are children, not mine. I don't have to decide for them. They don't have to decide for me. I don't have to decide for you. And you don't have to decide for myself and for my child. And let me say that the way that you tried to dismiss this lawsuit is very, let me find the right word. I apologize if it will be a very rude word, but I don't know another one, like it's sneaky. Am I right, correct? To say that we have not enough evidence for our case. The only one evidence, again, the only one that I don't have to explain mask work. I don't care mask work, mask don't work, who wants to wear them, who not. The only one evidence should be ever matter is parental rights that you try to deny and deny. This is not how Mrs. Berenberg and Mrs. Rosario were telling months ago that you want, masks are not forever. We will make a plan to get out of masks. It's not like that. It's not, you don't have enough evidence that we try to dismiss the case. And what are you giving your appreciation for? Healthy students are being quarantined over and over again. Healthy students, absolutely healthy. Who is going to give them any instructions? And students falling behind. It's very nice to say, oh, we are doing a good job. Let's give us appreciation month, not a day, month. Isn't it interesting? Thank you. I wish to say more, but thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Move approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The next discussion are items pulled from the consent agenda. There were two. The first one was my item, and it concerns a discussion that has been, took place earlier today. It originally began, I believe, back in our December meeting, and it was, the action is to limit at business meetings board members from speaking for more than 5 minutes. You have a 5-minute time limit. In doing so, each board member who chooses to speak will have the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes, and then any board member who chooses to continue the discussion will have the ability to do so. We had a vigorous debate. The objective here is to give every board member an opportunity to listen and express themselves, and to not run the risk of having the discussion controlled or carried on by one or more board members. I think it gives every board member an opportunity to speak, and then plenty of time to follow up should it be necessary. The way it's set up is I need a motion, of a first and a second for that motion, and then any discussion that people care that beyond what took place earlier today, we can have. So can I have a motion to approve that time limit?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Dr. Jones, Mrs. Berenberg, second. Would anyone care to speak? Hearing none?
No.
The way
Schiff?
we've,
I made the second.
yeah, I was going to
Okay.
offer the first and the
Yeah.
second, and then.
Okay.
Actually, Peggy should speak first since she
All
made
right.
the motion. Do you want to speak?
Do I want to speak to it? No, I thought we discussed it quite well this afternoon.
And the only thing I wanted to say is, we did discuss it quite well this afternoon, and I think it's being fair to everybody to be able to have equal time to at least express the first time what we want to express when we have an opinion.
Right.
Thank you.
Mrs. Rosario?
Dr. Schiff was first.
Just very quickly, I want to clarify in this that we're not limiting, because I want to make it clear for the record in case, for how people are hearing this who may be listening and who didn't watch this afternoon's conversation. We're not limiting total board member comments to 5 minutes. We're limiting the initial, the original comments, the initial comments to 5 minutes so that every board member gets a chance to speak. We are then opening up to discussion, which allows board members to speak as much and as long as we all as a board deem necessary to resolve whatever issue it is. So just to be clear, we're not limiting our entire comments to 5 minutes. We're limiting our opening comments to 5 minutes.
That's correct.
Just want that for the record.
Mrs. Rosario, did you have a comment?
Yes, I will not be supporting this. I encouraged the public to watch the earlier meeting. I'm not going to share all of my feelings on it, but to say that I think that limiting board members to 5 minutes in the initial introduction of something or in response to whatever someone else is saying or a motion that's on the table is actually, in my opinion, limiting an elected official's voice in the only meeting in which we have to meet. I think that that is a reach, a stretch that is not conducive to the functioning of individual board members' work. By all means, I ask everybody to watch the earlier meeting, anyone who's watching online, so you can get the full understanding of what this means for us as a board moving forward, and how we will function in our board meetings, which again, is the only time in which we have been called to do the work of the board. So I will not be supporting this tonight.
Mrs.
May I
Mayor
make a
Borg,
comment?
yes.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's limiting us in our discussion. I think it's making it fair for all to be able to be heard. And we are not the only governing board that's doing this. This is actually something that's actually more limiting on our state house and in the national house. So I think us as school board members should take advantage of the fact that we're trying to be equal to each other and listen to each other instead of one person having a voice over another. You have the ability to follow up.
We disagree.
Yep.
We
We do.
disagree completely.
You're right.
All right. Without any further comments, I'd like to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
aye. All
No.
opposed? Motion carries 4-1. Second consent item pulled. Dr. Schiff, you wanted to discuss and clarify the discussion and the policy that will apply to public comment
Yeah.
and email.
Thank you. I raised, and for purposes of those who watch this meeting and not the earlier meeting, I just wanted to clarify and make sure it was heard here. I requested this afternoon at our board discussion that Board Policy 0169.1 requires individuals who wish to provide public comment to be physically present at the board meeting and to provide comments orally. When COVID started and we were able to suspend that policy when we moved to online meetings. As gubernatorial orders and health department orders have shifted and gone back and forth, we've changed that policy and have now required people be present to make public comment. This afternoon at our board discussion, I requested of my fellow board members that we again suspend that policy as COVID rates in the county go up and increasing numbers of people are not comfortable coming to public board meetings. I requested that we again suspend that policy and allow public comment to be made through email, comparable to how we previously did it, where public comments can be submitted up until 12 p.m. on the day of the business meeting and can be read into the record. Our conversation this afternoon, fellow board members agreed with me. We had a long conversation about how to do that and agreed together that we wanted to go back to the policy of allowing comments by email and reading them into the record, and that we would keep the policy as it had been previously. So I wanted to state that publicly at this meeting so that it was clear for those who may wish to comment, who follow this meeting but not the earlier one, that they know that moving forward that policy is going to be changed and we're voting on that tonight. Just wanted to add that into the record to be clear.
And would you care to make a motion to that effect?
I move that we, moving forward until such time as we decide otherwise, that we suspend Board Policy 01.169.1 that requires individuals who wish to provide public comment to be physically present, and instead allow public comment to be made via email up until 12 p.m. on the day of our board business meetings.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'd like to amend that. I don't know when I get to amend or ask for change.
First it has to be seconded,
We have to
then you can
second
amend.
this motion. Do we have a second to?
Second.
Dr. Jones seconded. Mrs. Rosario.
There was just a point of clarification in that there was the suspension until the board deems otherwise. What we did not add to that was that it would be based on a suspension until the emergency order is released. Lifted, or until the board deems otherwise.
Fine, that's fine.
Second part was right.
I would agree to.
Would you like to restate the motion?
Sure.
include
Consistent
that.
with Mrs. Rosario's amendment, I'll withdraw my original motion. I will re-enter, you have to withdraw your second, I believe. Yes? Thank you. I will amend my motion.
Okay.
What?
Dr. Moore wants to say something.
Oh, yeah.
The action item that we drafted and put into consent is exactly how that reads. That
Okay.
it says just that. So if you
Okay.
approve this item as it is written, it captures your intent.
Thank you. So I'm going to move to amend the item as written and as entered into the board records, and I move that we approve that policy.
I'll second.
Is there, Dr. Jones, are you seconding again?
Ms. Rosario did.
Mrs. Rosario seconding.
I seconded.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. The next item, I want to make sure I do this properly. The next item deals with an adoption of new, revised, and repealed district school board policies. Dr. Moore, have you documented that this public hearing was properly advertised in accordance with state statutes?
Yes, I have.
We now recess this meeting to conduct the public hearing as advertised. The public hearing is now in session. Dr. Moore, are there any written responses to the advertised public hearing to be read at this time?
No, there is not.
The public is invited to address this issue at this time. Is there any individual representing an organization or his own personal or public interest who wishes to speak? The chair concludes that the announced public hearing on the adoption of new, revised, and repealed district school board policies has been conducted with proper notice and that ample opportunity to address this issue has been provided. The board meeting is now reconvened, and I would call for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll
Dr.
second.
Schiff? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Rosario? Any further discussion?
I have a comment on it.
Yes.
Just a clarification, point of clarification, Dr. Moore sent an email earlier for one of these policies that was pulled for further correction to it, I believe, to be edited, the one policy.
Yeah, that is true, and it's actually, I need legal to weigh in prior to making any recommendation based on edits.
So I'm just mentioning that in case any board members haven't had a chance to see your emails from earlier until now.
All right, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Unless I'm mistaken, we now go to the superintendent's report.
No report for this evening.
A lot of pieces of paper here to get through. We had, Mrs. Berenborg, you had an item that you wanted to put forward for discussion.
Yes, I did. Board agenda items. So when I first became a board member, of course, you're learning the ropes and everything, and how it works is the agenda items get posted on Tuesday, and being a diligent newbie, I would read everything on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then didn't realize on Friday things might change. Then I found out, okay, now I couldn't be updated on just the changes, so I have to go back and reread everything. We've come a long way from that. We are now getting prepped. I appreciate that. Lots of back and forth with the superintendent individually, which I appreciate, because I'm very well versed on what I'm voting on. My concern is that after I'm versed, depending on where I am in the rotation of board members, items all of a sudden are getting pulled or they're getting adjusted or changed. Like I got one today, right before the meeting. So, you know, it kind of makes me go back in time to when this was happening a lot. Right before the meeting, we'd get all these changes, and I'd be voting on something that I wasn't sure of. My concern, and when I asked why was an item pulled, I believe it was consent item D that was pulled, curriculum policy, correct? Okay. When I asked why it was pulled, it was because another board member had some concerns or wanted to change some items on there. You know, I think that that should be something that we talk about on the dais when it's policy and a board member wants to change policy. I don't think it's something that should happen after we're prepped and then there's a board meeting and all of a sudden something's pulled because one board member wants to change it. And I just feel like this is the time and opportunity we get to talk about why that's changed, not all of a sudden that gets changed by one board member and now it comes back to us for discussion. Because originally I read it and it was like, okay, and then We went to discuss it, all right, fine, and then next thing I know, it's pulled. So I always question why stuff like that happen, and the word sneaky was used today. I don't want to say that things are being sneaky, and I don't want that to happen, but in the past, things have been pulled or rearranged and thrown at us at the last second, and I don't appreciate the fact that when I do my homework and read and know what I'm voting on, and then it comes to us, and then I'm expected to vote on it here in front of everybody without getting the opportunity to know why it got changed. Which, you know, when you have a conversation with one board member, you really can't explain to us why. So I think it's fair, board members, if we do have a concern with a policy, that we should bring it to the dais to talk about why you're concerned with it before it gets changed and then brought back.
So are you looking at a timeline for change, or it can't be changed after a certain?
No, I just don't think one board member should make a change happen without all board members knowing about the change.
Dr. Schiff, you
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm a little unclear what you're talking about. Because I may not have, are you talking about the specific board policy that was pulled?
Right, right. I asked why it was pulled, and I was told there was a board member that had a problem with certain lines and wanted lines changed or whatever. And my thought was, well, why aren't we discussing that on the dais?
Right.
We should discuss on the dais. It shouldn't be done, because then we're getting back to when people think that, you know, in the past, that one board member had some influence with the superintendent. We don't want to do that to any board member. So I think to be fair to everybody and to be fair to yourself, that, you know, we should all be discussing that here.
Can we just exchange for a moment?
yes, by all means.
I don't disagree with you. Unless there's an issue, and I don't know what the issue is here. I wasn't involved in it.
I don't either.
So unless there is some legal issue that a board member has noted that then has caused the superintendent, in conversation with council, to say, you're right, there's a legal issue we didn't see here before, this shouldn't be discussed for one reason or another in this format. I don't know if that's what happened, but I could understand if it did. I could see that as a scenario in which it may not be appropriate to discuss something here, perhaps because we don't have full information yet. That doesn't preclude that information should come to board members in some format saying, this item was pulled, here's the reason why, we can't discuss it on the dais yet until this legal question is resolved, and then it should come before the board on the dais. In a situation like that, I could understand that happening. But I don't disagree that, that because we can't talk to each other when we have individual conversations with the superintendent, and he cannot repeat those conversations back to other board members, it adds a level of, I want to say obfuscation, but I want a simpler word. You know, a level of density to what should be more transparent decisions.
Exactly.
Mrs. Bornberg, you wanted to respond?
Yeah, I did want to respond. Well, then I think we should just direct the superintendent that if a board member brings up a legal issue, that's when something should be pulled. Otherwise, we should discuss it.
Mrs. Rosario?
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I agree with Mara even more. And based on what Dr. Moore said earlier, that this was a legal issue. If you read your email.
That's what I'm looking back, because I think it said that, and that's
Yes.
what made me think of it, and that's
Yes.
what I'm going back to look at right now.
And there had been other things in recent past that had been pulled or added. And I went directly to the superintendent and I asked, why was this pulled? Why was this, what's the deal? But I think that that's part of the conversation, and that's part of also, in a way, I'm comforted in the fact that our superintendent is constantly working and the team is constantly working and moving. But I understand the concern with what has happened in the past. In previous, and this is not with Dr. Moore, this is with, and not even with Dr. Moxley actually, but previous to them, there were some really not professional behaviors within, you know, the board agenda and how it was presented and withholding information. And so I understand all of that. I have not had any concerns with Dr. Moore thus far. And when I have a question, I go to him directly. But Dr. Moore, would you like to talk about this?
No, through the chair, we post, as you know, items significantly in advance. We work to 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time. So we're reviewing items, proffering them to board members, getting the feedback before anything goes public. So the sooner I have information, the quicker I can act. My staff knows that a change or a modification to an item is not something I have any interest in doing, and won't be happy if I have to do that. And that's been clear. And at the same time, in this specific scenario, as the executive officer, I need to ensure that there's any debate or discourse that takes place at the dais. It's not putting any board or any board member in a situation in which you're debating something that violates statute or law. And if I don't have, based on the timing, enough information to sit with the school board attorney and say, are we on legal sound ground in order to have this discourse? That's just the right way of doing the work. It's the thorough way of doing the work. Ms. Berenborg, I wholeheartedly agree. My expectation is to have items in, transparent as transparent can be, have the discourse at the time, and I work as diligently as I can to make sure we are ahead of the game and not to have to, to make those modifications.
So I guess what I'm asking for then is just so that we are transparent and that every board member is aware of why items are pulled. If an item gets pulled, just basically informing us that it was a legal issue. Because I think if it's not a legal issue, then we have the right to talk about why it was pulled or what happened. Because I wanted to know, why is this item pulled?
And I did, as soon as I made that decision, I did send an email to the board, so they were informed.
Yeah, the email that we received yesterday at 7:16, or is when I got it.
Which was after the conversation I had with him.
Got it, okay. Because this one says it's being pulled for review for legal sufficiency.
Right.
So I didn't know why it was pulled, but that there is a legal issue is sufficient for me to concur that we should not be discussing that until whatever is that issue, and I don't know what it is at this moment until that's resolved. So anyway, but on what's the, gosh, I can't think of words tonight.
Get it.
Not in practice, in theory, whatever the word is, in whatever that word is, I agree with you. I can't think of the word.
It seems like we're in agreement that if, once it's put forth, it stays on the agenda to be discussed unless there's legal reasons to pull it back. It's pretty clear, pretty simple.
And to be clear, I might add that there may be reasons that are not legal reasons, but there could be other reasons why, for one reason or another, we don't want to discuss that in this moment, in this setting, until certain questions are resolved, whether or not they're specifically legal questions. So.
Okay.
The only reason why I bring it up is because I think in full transparency, we need to understand that has been a problem in the past, not with you, Dr. Moore. But I think that to be transparent, this board should discuss whatever's on the agenda unless it's a legal issue,
I think we have to some degree rely on Dr. Moore's judgment.
Yes.
We can't all have the same information at the same time. He understands, I think, what you're suggesting makes sense.
The only thing I don't want to put him in the position of being pressured by one board member. Because I think, I'm just going to say that right here, because it's happened before. And we know that's happened in the past in many, many histories of board members all over the place. So I think that to be fair to each other, we just establish that right now, because I don't want us to go down that road.
Dr. Jones?
I was just going to say thank you for sharing. I wasn't sure what everyone was really talking about, but now I think I get it. I certainly appreciate the weekly board briefings with Dr. Moore. I can ask all the questions, he can answer, and I understand what's coming down the pike. And also, if something is I was going to support what Mr. Barefoot says. If it's a legal issue, we trust our superintendent. If not, we discuss it.
All right. Any other items for discussion? You don't want to? Dr. Moore, any closing comments?
No, not this time. It's a great return to school. We had the opportunity to bring back around 800 students, which is more than we anticipated. So we're very, very excited about that, and bringing back students that are in need of the academic support and the expertise of our educators does present additional struggles for teachers. So as we move into a next coming weeks where we're celebrating our teachers of the year and our support staff of the year, I would encourage each and every single individual in the community to show an additional level of appreciation for your teachers, because in a classroom today, there's varying levels of understanding based on the amount of time students have been in class, as we discussed earlier, with a great deal of concern and social emotional support that we continue to provide our students. So just appreciative of all the efforts and continued open dialogue that our teachers and staff have to create environments for our children where they can continue to exceed, even though we're in a very, very difficult and complex time.
All right, well, on a good note, meeting's adjourned.
No.
No?
No.
What do we
You're
have
missing
now?
a step.
And school board member matters.
Oh, all right.
You skipped all that.
Maybe
I'm telling you, the computer works really good.
I'm reading all the papers here. I got so many pieces of paper, I can't keep track of them all. All right. School board member matters. Mrs. Rosario, would you like to kick it off?
I would love to. I want to first say that I attended the renaming of Sebastian River High School, their gym for Mr. Billy Wilson. It was an incredible event. It was very nicely put together. I want to thank the committee, Dr. Jones, for your work and the committee's work on making that happen in such short notice, essentially. And the gymnasium floor renaming of it is stunning. It is so stunning. I shiver thinking that kids are walking and playing on it, and are going to somehow scratch it up in any way, but it is beautiful. So if you have not had a chance to go and see it, I hope that you do. It was just a wonderful event, so I'm very glad about that. Well deserved. I attended the College and Career Readiness Expo at Gifford Youth Achievement Center last Thursday, and it was so much fun, and it was also very nicely put together. There is another one coming up on February 4th at Sebastian River High School. My idea for the College and Career Readiness Fair, when Dr. Moore was really onboarding and visiting schools, and there were different conversations. I'm sure that he had this conversation with other board members, but my vision of this would be one where the entire community, all of Indian River County would have this one place. Obviously, we have three different dates where they could plan and have a huge auditorium with every single college, university, all kinds of careers. I mean, I have this grand vision of this, and what I saw in the last expo is a wonderful beginning to what I envision to be the thing to wait for parents, the event of the year, to help get their kids up and running. I have to tell you, there were some, I did not expect, which was very, very nice, I did not expect for there to be rooms of which parents would rotate. I did not know that. That was incredibly, really nice to attend and to see, so that parents would have an opportunity to go into a room and get information on financial aid, or go into a room and get information on SAT and ACT prep. Another room was for high school credits, and understanding their transcripts, and then another room was for collegiate athletes. The athletics program in college. And all of them were really wonderful. I attended with my son, and I cannot tell you, we went to 2 of the rooms. The first room was the room with some of the counselors were here, and the graduation coaches were here presenting very well, professionally organized, and they had a PowerPoint, and they went through the whole slide. And when we walked in, and I said, no, I'm just here visiting. You know, I didn't expect to stay. My son is only 7th grade. I didn't expect to stay. And they, no, come on in. You can never start too early. Of course, they welcomed us, and they gave him, you know, the whole spiel, and it didn't matter. My point is, it didn't matter what grade he was in. It did not matter that he wasn't in high school. And it didn't matter that we were only there to visit. They gave the entire presentation. They didn't change. They stood on. It is something to be commended. So maybe there could be some stars of the month for next month of those who presented in all 3 of these, if they're the same people. I don't know if we could think of something along that. I just thought that was really, really incredible. Dr. Moore, Kristen, and everyone else, one of the parents said that we were recognizing ourselves during this wonderful, receiving this wonderful plaque, and it really broke my heart because we weren't, you were recognizing us. So I just want to thank you for that. I thank you and Kristen for organizing. Much of what gets organized here, I believe, I'm going to say is up to Kristen, and all of your leadership for signing their names on here. I do appreciate it. It is very humbling. It really is. School choice. So we are at the end of the days of which applications can come in for school choice, and I don't have it up in front of me. I'm going to say it's the 15th or the 15th. Okay. For anybody who is watching online, if you are interested in your child going to another school for one of their choice programs, you have an opportunity, whether it be the traditional public schools or the magnet programs. Please submit your application by January 15th. It is right around the corner. There are on the website incredible videos capturing the choice programs for every single school. And if you have not seen them, please take a look at them. There is a beautiful brochure, booklet style, online as well that I highly recommend that you see. It's in English and in Spanish, which I have to say is a wonderful, is a nice, it's refreshing to see that was done in English and in Spanish. So please go ahead and do that. Congratulations on all the work for graduation rates. And that is all I have for now.
Dr. Jones.
Special thank you to Kristen and Mr. Heiser and Sarah for that wonderful day with the finalists. It was a lot of fun, and I know it was a lot of work to get there. I think we talked about the Sebastian River High School holiday concert in December, but then Vero Beach High School had one, and those bands, I'm just telling you, the band directors made it work. We could all be there and have some fun. The GYAC College Night Information was really, really good, the concurrent sessions. And I love the t-shirts, Sebastian River High School, Vero Beach High School. And I know we used to do the college night at the mall where all the colleges came, and I know it's a little different with COVID now, but it really was a wonderful presentation. And I loved how they developed the sessions. And I just want to say another thing on graduation rate. As a former high school principal, increasing a rate by 10% is almost unheard of. So congratulations to Sebastian River High School for doing that, and also increasing our Hispanic and African American rate for graduation. And Vero Beach High School, you keep closing in on that 100%. You should be proud. As Ms. Rosario said, the naming of that gym, again, we moved through that quickly. Thank you to Mr. Bass, Dr. Moore, and Robert Michael for that. And Sebastian River High School and the committee, that was an awe-inspiring night. I know the family was very, very excited, and something the school will have forever. I'm very proud of that. And just a special thank you to our teachers and administrators and everyone the district, in the buildings on a regular basis. It's a tough and challenging year, but with public education being the ultimate responsibility of the board, we take that very seriously, and I want to thank you for all that you've done throughout this year. Thanks.
Dr. Schiff?
Gosh, a few things. I won't, again, the Billy Wilson dedication was fabulous. I won't belabor that. Again, the Star Patrol, organized by Kristen et al., is, as mentioned in the video, or I think actually by you at the dais, one of the highlights of the year. A couple of other things. Also, around Christmas time, we had assorted celebrations and stuff, and Mrs. Barenborg and I got to be the judges of the door contest, which was great fun, and we got to get on the PA and give lots of awards, so that was kind of fun. Big props to everybody for their doors. I also participated in the Central Florida School Board Association call yesterday, which was really interesting and informative, and now that, as so many things have shifted to online, it really increases participation and accessibility for those meetings. So the presentation by Chancellor Oliva was interesting, but I think missed also some important points that I look forward to hearing in the future about testing and about ways in which districts are dealing with COVID in terms of testing, of policy, of vaccination, et cetera. So I look forward to more of those. I was also on the FSBA Equity Committee call. So I'm now participating in that call, which was interesting. There was a presentation by an outside group about which I had mixed feelings. But that's a different conversation we don't need to go into now. But the point being that I'm just going to become increasingly aware of what other districts and boards are doing around the state regarding equity. Also on equity, in mid-December, Dr. Long had a follow-up to the Equity in Action Conference that she did over the summer. It was a relatively small meeting at the Gifford Youth Achievement Center on December 16th. It was intentionally small because of social distancing, but I was able to participate in that with a bunch of community members to look at what had happened, what hadn't happened, what we are looking forward to doing in the future, and hopefully how that work can continue to be integrated into the district. And I think on the Star Patrol, really big congratulations for those of you who are watching to all the teachers of the finalist Teachers of the Year and finalist Employees of the Year for their amazing work in what has been an extraordinarily challenging school year. So thank you for all that you do, and not just to the people who got the awards, but to all the people who didn't get awards, who are working equally hard and supporting our schools and our students, whether or not we have recognized you in that way this year. I think that's it for the moment, to not belabor and reiterate everything my other colleagues have said.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Barenborg.
ditto to everything you guys said, because I kept crossing things off my list as you all were speaking. So not to belabor that, yes, thank you for all those things, and to the unsung heroes in our district. I did attend with Mr. Meyer the Treasure Coast Technical College Nursing graduation. It was a very cold evening, but a very wonderful evening. It was nice to be able to speak on the spot, which was interesting. I will say that it's refreshing to see how many people have overcome adversity to be able to get that license, but also that they're very needed. And they have a job as soon as they get that piece of paper, which is really nice to see. So I appreciate everything Treasure Coast Technical College is doing. And I wanted to say, not only was it wonderful to attend the William Billy Wilson III gym and floor dedication, but it was wonderful to see the whole family be able to be there. And I feel for them. It's a very positive thing, but a loss. And it still seems unreal, but anyway, so that was wonderful. I also was on a FSBA call because I'm on the policy committee for the FSBA. So we had one call right before break, And it was to look at revisioning, refocusing, redistricting, doing a lot of changes for the FSBA. So as those come down the pike, I'll let you know. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, I would like to ditto everybody said for thanking everybody. I have to make one comment, though, the Billy Wilson dedication ceremony. I think I said it to somebody that night. I've been in a lot of gyms over the years. And I think, Mrs. Rosario, you said it, that gym was as uplifting, as attractively, I don't want to say decorated, appointed, I don't know what the right words are. And anybody that walked into that gym and didn't feel good, not only why we were there to have it dedicated to Billy Wilson, who I never met but heard a lot about, but it was well done. The other thing that impressed me, I thought that the Sebastian River Band and the course were really good. And I have two interests outside of, let's say, work. One is athletics and two is music. So the fact that I would notice those things as opposed to many other things, and I'm sure that kind of talent exists all over the community, but that whole evening, the comments made, but the musical and the dedication was terrific. Just one piece of information that you might find, and it's not related to the school district, but in general. As some of you know, I've been on the board of the Cleveland Clinic Foundation for a long time, and I have the privilege of listening and getting lots of information. And this vaccination issue has been a real logistical challenge. But just some information about vaccinations in general. I happen to have a daughter and a son-in-law who are doctors. They know a lot about this stuff. First of all, that first vaccination, if you're lucky enough to have gotten one, or when you do, it protects you for about 70% of your exposure. The second vaccination will get up 95 to 100%. But what's important to remember, that doesn't mean that you're not a carrier. So just because you've been vaccinated, that protects you, but it does not ensure people that you are talking with that they're protected. So I understand the debate around masks. I understand it all. People have different points of view, but I would just suggest that if you are lucky enough to get vaccinated, please be considerate of other folks that you're around that's part of a population that could be more vulnerable than others. That's just a piece of information that I will pass along for. Pardon me?
May I say one thing?
Yes.
Sorry. I just wanted to comment on what you said about the gym at Sebastian River High School. The reason it's like that is because Mr. Wilson, for 26 years, made sure that it was immaculate. The floor would be done when it needed to be done. The murals were great, but he was the one who stayed on top of that for us.
Well, kudos to him. It's too bad, I'm sure a lot of wonderful things were said about him while he was with us. But the thing that's always sad about people passing away, all the great things that are said after they're gone, you just wish you could have said a lot of those things while they were with us, because I don't think people appreciate the impact that others have on them. And we've all been to memorial services and listened to things, and he said if only he or she could have heard what was just said about him or her, it would have been great. So on that note, unless there's some last-minute comments, Dr. Schiff?
Sorry, I did forget one thing. I also attended the executive roundtable in December with Dr. Moore. And they are doing a 5K fundraiser run coming up. I've forgotten the date, but if anybody is interested in running, I'm not. I won't be there.
This Saturday.
It's this Saturday.
Parking cars. I'll be.
And do you remember, Dr. Moore, what the proceeds are going towards? I believe they give scholarships as one
I
thing.
believe it is scholarships as their major fundraiser.
Yeah. So we did attend that, and were treated to a lovely breakfast at Marsh Landing. But that was, again, just one other thing that is part of my outside committee duty that I share with Mrs. Rosario for this body.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up for the evening. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
At 7:40. Mr. Barrett?